I just wanted to show you my Gents of Leicester master clock. This is one of my prized possessions. I purchased it for 32 New Zealand dollars, maybe £10, principally because no one really could understand what it was or recognised it for its purpose, I guess would be a more better way of saying it. So it's English. It's an English clock. It's not a clock as such. It's a master clock. So this is an industrial appliance, really. It would have sat in a manager's office or reception area, I guess, of a factory, a school, or some large industrial premise where they had multiple clocks situated all around the building, and they were all slave clocks run off this master clock. So this is basically timekeeping central for a business or industry, school, military complex, anywhere where they wanted to keep everyone working for the appropriate period of their shift, I'd imagine. So let's have a little look at it. So you'd think it's basically a grandmother clock, or so grandfather clock being a big one, or grandmother clock being a small one, but it's electromechanical in nature. So it has some clock functions, but predominantly this isn't it might be an electrical device. So we say electromechanical, but I think maybe mechanical electrical would probably be the better way of putting it. So it's got a pendulum, and the steel bar that runs down there is Invar type of steel, which has a very low coefficient for expansion and contraction, which is very important for keeping the pendulum at the same distance and the same heartbeat, for want of a better word. It's driven by a DC current, so this one's running on 12 volts, and it draws about 200 milliamps for the fraction of a second that when the pendulum is given additional energy by a falling arm. I don't know the actual correct name for it, but there is. So every 30 seconds, the bar there drops. It's got a roller, and that basically kicks the pendulum and gives it additional energy to continue cycling. So what do we got? So we've got a pendulum. You've got the arm that goes down to it. We've got an escapement. That escapement has, notice a little, okay, so it does one revolution every 30 seconds. Each of the notches are identical except for one. One has a much deeper set to it. It's just at the top now, and it's just coming around. See the big one? See, just going over the non-return lever. Okay, when it drops, when it comes around, this arm will come up and release the drop arm, one of the repeated word. It drops and impulses the pendulum, giving it additional energy. Simultaneously with that, basically it closes a contact and it sends a circuit, it closes a circuit, sends an impulse to each of the solenoids in the slave clock faces. And that basically pulses these and puts it around one notch. So every 30 seconds, it gets one additional push. And that translates as a half step in the minute hand. So although it's got a clock face, there's no real clock keeping function to it. It's really predominantly a slave. It's really just a mechanical step to it, driven by a solenoid, kept in time by the pendulum. These were made, I'm not too sure, maybe at least from the late 30s, I think, the design, through to maybe the 70s. I guess after that, the electronics really sort of took off. So a lot of places would have had one of these. So it draws about 200 milliamps every time the circuit, ticks over a 30-second beat. it is very noisy, unfortunately. I had great hopes of bringing this upstairs, and but the family would drive them batty at 3 o'clock in the morning. I had wanted to bring it upstairs, but I don't think that'll ever happen. So 12 volts, 200 milliamps for the fraction of a second. One's coming up now, which impulses each of these slaves, moves them around. I've got 3 of them in the house running, set up. Most of them are actually in the garage. So they all keep in sync and in time with each other. There's one more at the back there. This unit, so I bought it for $32, which is maybe £10, maybe 15 US dollars. It was last serviced in 1980. Well, one service was 1980 over an overhaul, and then the last one, I guess, the last overhaul was in October '94. This is, I believe, it's date stamped, so this is October 1950. So she's 76 years old, well no, 75 years old now, but still runs remarkably well. I have spent a bit of time trying to dial this in, but I haven't probably got to the bottom of it. Yeah, this has been running on a battery for the last 6 months. I think it's probably gained about a minute in that time, maybe 2 minutes. It's maybe 2 minutes fast, which I think is outstanding timekeeping for something like this of its age and really had no maintenance. So over 6 months, maybe 6 months, it's gained 2 minutes. I could probably dial this in a bit tighter if I was to spend the time on it. Anyway, hundreds of hours of effort, I'm sure, to build this, or maybe even thousands. I'm not too sure. And yeah, she's 75. Yeah, 75 years old, closing on her 76th birthday, and still as accurate as any chronometer you could buy, or any analog chronometer you could buy today. Anyway, that's my Gents of Leicester C7, dated August 1950 for manufacturing date. Timekeeping within say 2 minutes over a 2 minute gain over a 6 month period.